This is the Silent Yachts 55, and though it may look like a regular power catamaran from the outside, it's hiding a fascinating secret, that being that it doesn't have an engine. No, instead it has two 135 kilowatt electric motors, and they can be driven either by this array of 10 kilowatt solar panels, a bank of 140 kilowatt hour lithium batteries, or a 100 kilowatt generator, or a combination of all three. In ideal circumstances, when the sun is shining, which it isn't today, you could run all day as long as the sun is shining continuously at 5 knots just using the solar panels, or you can cruise using the battery bank, and depending on how much power you're using, you can cruise from 2 to 12 hours before you need to recharge. Then the generator kicks in. That can either drive the motors directly, or you can run along with the batteries and the generator charging them at the same time to give you pretty much continuous running. There's a lot going on here. It's a fascinating boat, and we're here in Mallorca to get underneath its skin. Let's explain what's going on here then. At the moment the boat is being helmed from the lower helm, but we have the readout up here. So we are on purely electric power at the moment. So you can see the battery readout here. This is the amount of charge we have left, and this is the amount of power being consumed, 27 kilowatts. You click into the battery and you can see our range, which is only 2 hours at this speed. We are currently doing, let me double check. So we're doing 7 knots. At that speed, we've got just under 2 hours of range, but that's because we only have 47% battery. When the batteries are fully charged, obviously that range skyrockets. What we could do is put on the generator. Now the system will automatically kick in when the battery charge gets down to 30%. At the moment we're at 47%, so we'd have to start it manually. And what that will do is go up to about 50% of its output. It's a 100 kilowatt Volvo Penta generator. That would go up to 50% of its output to start charging the batteries. It goes up to 50% because that is the most efficient way to run the generator and charge the batteries. And that will slowly begin to put juice into the batteries. If you want to run all day on battery power alone, you get to your anchorage and you just want to charge the batteries completely from flat, it's only 1.4 hours to charge from 0 to 100% on the generator. And of course you can charge the system at shore power when you're alongside as well. So this is the essence of the Silent 55. We're coming into port right now at about 6 knots, and all you can hear back here is the sound of water rushing off the hull. There's no vibration, there's no noise, there's no diesel fumes. It is just beautiful, silent, clean progress. And when we come into berth, you can run the bow thrusters without having to start the generator. Battery bank is enormously powerful, so there's no problem running the bow and stern thruster while you're coming into berth completely silently. That noise you can hear is the electric motor on the port side of the boat. We're being really unfair because I'm sitting right over it with a microphone on with the hatch off. When you're up in the saloon or in one of the cabins, you really cannot hear a thing. It's so quiet. Just over 50 decibels even at the top speed of 9 knots. And one of the loudest things is the gearbox, which they're going to get rid of. On future models there will be no gearboxes. And they're also going to boost these motors from 135 to 250 kilowatts because you get increased performance without any major effects on efficiency. Now you may have noticed that everything on this flybridge seems very low, particularly low at the moment because it's hunkered down completely. As you can see, the helm is right down on the deck, this backrest is flat, as is the one here, and that's because this hardtop section here at the touch of a button folds completely flat, so you can protect this area entirely. And of course, because you have solar panels up on top of this as well, it means they're completely flush with the rest of the bank. If you want to use it, then everything pops up again. This helm section, you pull up and lock it in place, and with these backrests, it's the same deal. Now, despite the enormous side decks on this boat, you don't feel pinched in the saloon. The galley extends right out to the beam here, and you have a nice sliding window which opens out to the bench there, which is out onto the side decks. On the opposite side, you have a full height domestic fridge freezer. People are going to be spending a lot of time on this boat, long distance passage maker, so that amount of cooling space is crucial. And there are 4, 5 or even 6 cabin versions of this boat. This particular one is a 4 cabin version, which means that you get a pair of cabins aft en suite. Then you have a forward VIP, which is a really good size, again has its own bathroom. And then moving forward, you have the master cabin here, which straddles both hulls. We'll have a little closer look at that in a moment. Of course, this is your main indoor socialising space, this dinette here. Really fantastic size, very sociable, and there's a load of light in here, despite the fact that Giving over 6 foot of headroom in this forward cabin means that looking through the front windscreen is a bit like looking through a letterbox, and if it's a particularly rough day, I think you'd be losing sight of the horizon pretty quickly. But let's go now and have a closer look at that master cabin. Now, the payoff for having that restricted view from the lower helm is the amount of headroom here in this full width master cabin, and it is nice to be able to fully stand up as you get towards the head of the bed. Obviously headroom drops down a bit, but it's nice that they've put these windows in here so when you're stood up you've got views all around, though it does seem a bit of a mission to not have any blinds on these windows. It could be a bit bright early in the morning, but the space in here is superb. There's really good storage, the bed is a great size and set nice and low, easy to get in and out of, and you can get around both sides, and the ensuite is absolutely superb. It goes down into the starboard hull. You have a really spacious separate shower cubicle, a toilet within its own room as well, and then a sink in between. So we're in the port hull now, where you have 2 guest cabins, and considering the boat is only around 55 foot long, the level of luxury in here in the space is really outstanding. Headroom is superb. You have a nice big double bed in this is the forward cabin, really nicely finished ensuite with a separate shower cubicle, and then you walk through this hallway section where you have steps back up to the saloon. And this aft cabin, it's much the same. Again, a really nicely finished bathroom, lovely sort of bamboo effect sink, again a separate shower cubicle, and then a really nice wide comfortable bed. But equally you could see the kids down here glued to their iPads, using it as a sort of ad hoc playroom as well.
There are still too many question marks to declare definitively that the Silent 55 has paved the way to a new future for the motorboat. How is battery life affected by real-time use with a full complement of passengers? Can the electronic brain juggle the inputs to ensure the boat is powered appropriately? And can you genuinely cruise all day harnessing solely the power of the sun? What is for certain is that the Silent Yachts 55 is the most sophisticated solar electric craft we've tested to date, and by far and away the most convincing case yet for solar electric power in motorboats.